start this also here. So next one, we'll do a pine tree to celebrate everybody's longevity. Okay, it's a wish for longevity with pine trees. We usually use it as a birthday gift if you know someone having a, especially the older people, elderly people. Okay, and I'll use stiff hair brush. Okay, stiff hair brush and just ink and water to start with. We can use some color, brown and green. Actually, indigo. Yeah, that's all we need. All right. So let me wet the brush. I usually don't start from light. We start from the darkest, and then when it gets light, we do the light part. So I will draw some gesture lines maybe to start with. Let me get my chopsticks. So you can...
What size brush?
Oh, you can use large brush, but on a small painting, just a regular stiff brush will be fine.
You'd like us to paint along?
Yeah, you can paint along. Let me start with my chicken brush. Just do some quick sketch. Let's say we can do a. But I changed my mind. You can use charcoal if you want, just to do some quick sketch like this. I use just almost water, very light ink, to just give me some control.
I'm just gonna watch.
Yeah, you can just watch if you want. So this is the rock, and then here's the tree. This tree has a hanging branch. That's a very challenge. You want to make this hanging branch somehow with a up movement. Do you understand? So it doesn't look like a dead. So I would make a little hook there. That's what looks like. Let me put the original here so we can also see that. So now you can see the original on the side. Okay. And then another tree kind of going this way. Oh, this too is a little bit tangent kind of look, but actually it's separate. So this one goes, this curve doesn't go down, this goes to this side. So that, you have to plan this kind of gesture carefully. This one, you don't have to copy exactly, but try to understand the movement of the trees here. Well, I think here is another one. So this area is like a negative shape, and here is another negative shape. And this is the cliff. Okay, so and we can make waterfalls here. I added it because I have a little bit wider composition, but we'll see what we can do. But you can make mistakes at this point, but you can also edit it. I think if you like, you can combine the two into two trees into one. It will be fine. So let's just start from the top and see what develops. One tree would be fine, I think. Just one root to make it simple. You can make the root stay inside the frame, because this painting is longer than the paper, so we have to do some adjustment. You don't have to have two trunks. So if I do this within the frame, I'll hint a little bit the tree root. It's like a claw holds on the rock. And you can have some linear perspective. By linear perspective, you know the foreshorten, the rule of foreshortening, right? So this getting closer and closer, something like that. But you need to make sure this tree is in front of the rock, so you could overlap, crossing that makes depths. So we start first branch. Remember we do this V shape. Make a frequent turns with an angle, like the Southern Song Dynasty painters does. To make the tree looks old, you make a lot of knots, things like that. And I try to indicate the life force that's kind of growing towards the sun. Even it gets old and hanging, here it has a tendency that goes up. Let me close the door. So this group is darker in the front, and we'll use a different tone to do the one in the back, so we can finish the darker ones and then do the light. Where's the light coming from? I don't know. It could be from the left or right. I think on the upper one it looks like from left, but here it looks like from right. But if you think it's a like a morning sunshine, the light is very flat, low. And during sunset or sunshine, if you look at the pine tree trunk, it's very red here in this area. So that is another layer. It goes. So sometimes we emphasize on the outline, a contour. Sometimes we just do the max or the surface, not the contour. Yes, I think it's because the paper is out of room for that, so we just cut that short, I think. And we can have a rock on the bottom to balance the big one. And you can alter the composition a little bit just to create some detail, like waves or refractions, whatever. That should be away from the center. If it's too close, just bring it further to the right a little bit. And just let it stay low profile here. You don't want to paint this part too high. I just exhaust the brush. So when I paint the details, I look at the large relationship. When I paint the large relationship, I still look at the large relationship. Always consider, the shape of this getting closer. That's more important than what's exactly you're doing there. So that creates perspective is more important, and the proportion, or maybe something like that. Okay, so the second tree is dry lighter. So don't worry when at this point, if you paint something, if you make any mistake, you can cover it with leaves very easily. So just go for it. That's you can go all the way to the other, but this paper is longer, as I said. So be careful not to lose the gravity balance. That's very important to remember. Not just consider the painting itself, but also some natural principles you cannot ignore. Oops, that's too dark. I tried not to use the same ink. I think that's a smart treatment, to have one tree lighter to going back. So that's yeah, the second tree is lighter, should be in the back. But if you're not sure, just leave it out and do it later. Okay, This, I'm going to add the leaves, so I don't have to really complete the details on those chunks. The leaves should be on the twigs, not directly on the main branches. So you should have something. You can do it at the same time as you do this. As you do the tree, this fan shaped, like a folding fan frame. You cover about half of the group, overlap like a half, but not exactly parallel. It could be a little up or lower. And usually it's from outside in, I think. You can also do it from inside out. So the starting point become heavier because you're repeating, you're getting, you start from the center out, or you press down, whichever you think it's convenient. This artist does this with, I think on the unsized paper, so it smears a lot maybe, on Shuan paper. So, but my paper is not that absorbent. However, if you wash it right away before it gets dry, it will create blobs very easily. But I don't really pursue that. You can, if you do it fast, before it gets dry, you start washing, it will create that kind of dark, kind of blurry effect. Okay, so I start from the center and then left and then right. You can also do it left and right, left and right. Let me try see which way it goes. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. That could be done, or I think just left and then right. But you do the center first. Center is more dense, right? When I draw this, actually, the priority is the block, the shape of the block. You just fill in that block with these needles. But if you lose the outer shape, you will find it's too loose, not in good shape, So when I do this, I actually also, just like we do the rocks, we paint outside the contour of this branch, right? Then that squeeze out the white, the top part of the branch. That's how we do it. But you don't trace you don't do that all the way. Some part you need not to. Some part especially this contrast part, just you have to make the outside dark. The contrast is my objective. I think that the artist who, in that book, he did the outside in more obviously. And do I need to vary the size of those needles? Probably not, because we usually paint in the universal scale, regardless the optic illusions. But we do use different tones to indicate the back and the front relationship or perspective. I have seen people using two brush in one hand like that, just to
Oh.
yeah, just like chopsticks. It will bring lots of uncontrolled effect. There's an artist named Dong Shouping. He was in his 90s, and you can see he painting a huge pine tree painting for meeting hall or some a big wall, and he used this method. Dong Shouping. The scale of the pine is characteristic, but in this painting we don't really see some detail like the half circle, but it's there. I can feel it. You know, if there's chance, you can indicate a little bit. Just show people, oh, I know this is pine. Just a little bit, but not to patronize on the details of that. Okay. My teacher told me the movement of the crown of a pine is like Tai Chi. I didn't understand until really I started learning Tai Chi. This kind of branch here remind me of a Tai Chi movement called the Lan Zha Yi. Anybody knows that? That. Let me show you. It's like this. Something like that. Yeah. So you stretch out, but it has like a little hook, and it's like this. It's always a balance of movement. Yeah. I have to choose what to omit or what to copy. Not copy exactly because my paper is not exactly the proportion and the size. So I have to look at the whole painting to see what I need. And then I try to find what I look for in the original. sometimes the painting speed is very important to capture the movement and momentum. And when I save the highlight, I try to avoid the center, so I may shift the highlight from left to right somehow to make it twist. And now I'm thinking to paint some background with, let me see. I like the idea that we have a definitive edge here. So they are separate from the background. Okay, now I use light. When I start copy others, I lose my own rhythm. Maybe better concentrate on my own. So this is the foot of this back cliff. You don't really see them, but it's there. Let's do a waterfall, just a hint of that. In the mist, a little bit Fubashi style here. Split brush. Okay. All right. Now I do a boat that going out, maybe because I did inside, and my friend in China told me this you're going towards the sea, so let's try do a different one. So this is the head. Maybe we don't need to do a person. Well, it could be there. That's so. How is yours going? Too fast? You still need time to? I can wait for you to see. Good. Yeah. I will just add more leaves, and you can catch up a little bit before it gets dry, and I will do some color or washes, atmospheric washes. This side, we need to suggest more painting outside the frame, so it could go outside the frame here. this should be lighter. Without the white, not white, I can color it later if needed. Okay, you can put some what we call not mask dots if you want to cover some something if you don't like, or adjust. So less detail in that tree, but you can just add a little dry brush if needed. Wet. Look at this little twigs that really leave little space between the pine needles and the branch. So you see little space there. Okay, let me just use a hair dryer to dry it. Because if you wash right away, it might smear too far. I think I left home hair dryer. What is iron? I was using the shrink wrap for this. I used the hair dryer for this shrink wrap, so I left home. So this is the new painting I did. Now we're in the next class. 齐白石 style landscape. Let me just dry it. Let's cover it with another sheet of the paper, just to avoid smearing. Hair dryer is not as effective as iron, but iron could have some unexpected effect also with the steam. We have seen that before, right? Yeah, I think the iron creates some interesting pattern. Here. Now we can color it. Okay. I'm using brown first, I think. we can use this Sumi block. It's easier to get. You can use tube color also. You just use a large brush, soak it here. Okay, and some brown color. You can blend your own brown with vermilion and the yellow to make it the exact brown you want. Or you can add some blue to gray it. Okay. So any color has three primaries in it: yellow, red, and blue. But if you use the ready-made color, it's more saturated. You don't have to fill in any blanks, just do it with a stroke. It's like a highlight. You can leave some white, doesn't matter. I use less red in the background, I think. You can add some yellow ochre if you have. And mute it with some blue to make it grayer, I think. But it has ink already, so don't worry about that. This kind of watercolor, if you know, watercolor techniques are useful. And the trunk part, the root part could be lighter. And you can have some green, bluish color on the dark part, maybe, just to contrast some cool color. Contrast with the bronze. Okay. Now I'm going to wash the leaves. I use indigo, or you can get some ink into the blue to get that. But don't too strong to cover the ink. The color is a guest. It's just ice on the cake. Just a little bit. You can leave pockets of white still. Okay, the background could be a little muted. You can add some brown to it. Okay. You can apply color just like needle strokes. You don't have to use the side of the brush. You can use the tip of the brush also to keep the movement the same as the ink. Okay, now how about the rock? You can have some cool, some warm. So this reflects the sky color. Maybe it's a little cooler. The shaded part could be more brownish. Let's do dark brown. add some warm color. Okay, the top part also can have a little bit lighter brown. You can add some yellow, some. I did some white, but not necessary. But it just happened. Just a hint of that. Okay, and some yellowish, like what is it? Ochre and brown. So just make a lighter brown for the background. Like this, maybe a little grayer. The greenish, a little bit bluish, blue added. I leave a little white, suggesting the waterfall, just a small one this time. We don't have room to do the on the horizontal composition I did at home before the class. There are 3 of them. Actually, I borrowed this idea of the waterfall from a student who is taking my online my other online class site. She did this on her own actually, maybe based on some photograph. But I combined this pine tree with that waterfall to create the study I did. You see on in the frame there. Just adjusting some color. And this one maybe brown. A little brown. Maybe a little blue in the dark. So just 2 colors. They're complement colors, blue and orange or brown. Right? This color theme is known as the blue and the indigo and the amber, or blue and brown color style. 浅酱, that's the Chinese term. 酱 means brown, but kind of light. You know. Okay, that's about it. I think this part needs a little bit texture, but I'll add it after dry it a little bit. Do I need to do the wake? Maybe a little bit. The wave. That's a traditional style. You can see on the handouts, but you don't have to do all of them. Just use a liner, a pointed brush. Let's see if I have the small whistle brush, maybe among the 3 basics. This is too small. I think I have a slightly larger one. Or I can just use a small, this is a calligraphy, small calligraphy, general ones, calligraphy brush. As long as it's sharp pointed. And you can load with light gray, ideally not too dark, I think. Just show you it. Dilute it with water. Dry it. You only use the tip, and you do 1 line, just wave like that. I just do a triangle, and then the next one match this like that. So where you vary the width to create a general form. To indicate the movement, we do more on the wake side. So this goes like that, and it's getting flatter. There's more wave here, right? My line is a little bit too heavy, I think. The brush may be too big. It's not like a detailed style, so it's okay to have just different style. You could have stronger lines to match your rest brushwork is important. If you missed, some pattern, it's okay, but keep the pattern in mind to fix it.
What are the triangles on the right-hand side?
Oh, this is the wave. I try to make, it could be like this. If you, I try to exaggerate. You need to kind of match that. We call this net method to do the, like net, like a fishing net. Yeah, fishing net pattern. Net pattern. I think a triangle will help me to match these points. You need to kind of create this. If you miss it, you have to make it up. You add a line, squeezing another line just to make it up. And try not to do flat ones. So keep it leveled as a whole, just like that. And when you add the second line, let's think about these triangles to match that. You can do one by one, maybe that. If you cannot do the whole line, just do it one by one at the beginning. And then when you're used to it, you can draw continued lines. This need to practice to get this pattern. It's a fun, very traditional way of doing the water surface. And see, I just do triangles. It could also form a pattern. That's why I think you can connect those into a wave, the water wave like that. I think the brush needs to be a little drier, so give you more time and control. If you have a wet brush, it tends to bleed too thick, maybe. And I will pay more attention on the form or the shape of the wave. So I don't need to fill in all the, see this, like I'm forming some, imagine there are mist in between those, floating on the river, on the stream. So you don't have to fill in all the space, but create some kind of rhythm that connects them. Something we call closure, right? In the psychology, the Gestalt psychology. So maybe some here, light and flat see what it look like. If you want to define this waterfall, you can add a little bit rock or something. I don't really see where the mouth is, so forget about that. We just maybe define the bank a little bit. Just, but it's far away. You don't need to. Just some smooth lines suggest the water rapids, you know, like that. And maybe right there. So this kind of, if you start with like a sweeping the flour, like using a mop. This time, at this point, you want to use the brush like a needle, sewing needle, to put details, you know, to indicate necessary details to bind things together, to make sense, to make the painting to work. So I just add a little bit hint, maybe just enough definition, and I mute this part to push it back if it's too light. I know in watercolor you might think this should be more blue, but in painting we just want to, in Chinese brush painting we create the contrast. We tell, you know, we distinguish front and back with dark and light. So as long as light is back, we don't have to think about the color change, the aerial perspective in terms of color. And this is still too wet. I would wait a little bit to do some more texture. Okay, let me dry it so you can see the color more accurately. Dry the top first. It will dry lighter, but after mounting, it will come back. So when it's wet, it's actually more whatever you'll get after mounting. Okay, let me just add a little bit texture to this part. Like a half circle tree bark. But you don't have to do a lot, just a few would tell people what kind of a tree this is. alternate the light and the dark, left and right. Make it feel like twisting dragon. The water could also have a little bit blue color. Let me see. I got a flat brush. Maybe we just do a quick go with that. So I just use a very diluted blue color. You can mute it with a little bit ink, maybe. Let's see what it looks like. You can skip some. That don't have to be solid. Just like if you want a gradation from dark to light, you just go with the speed, and you can just like that. The same tone same shade can create a gradation. Goes from slow to fast, like that. And here you go from right to left, just like that. Some horizontal. Just exhaust my brush. Okay. And that's the flat surface. This is the vertical. My student in the other class put a blue in this, not necessary. So this should be white, because the color of the flowing water foam. And this surface is reflecting the skylight. It's bluish. And this should have like from wider to narrower movement to create a linear perspective, right? So that's just depth also. Let's just add a little bit blue to everything, just to harmonize it. I like that. The knob works. Okay. And you can. Some line may need to wake up or reinstate. It may last during the wash, so you can go back just to add a little accenting stroke. Okay, now it's time to write the description. I think this side would be good. Let me move the brush. We write the Chinese phrase often used with this kind of birthday theme. 福 福如东海。I think you can, if you can read, it's on there. I think he wrote Beihai. Maybe Beihai referring to Donghai in Taiwan, right? It's on the north or something. Usually we say Donghai. Wow, it's bleeding. It's still wet, so that's we need to try it. You can put the seal on the side, the bottom. Here, right here. Whoops, it's smeared. But anyway, it's just a red spot. My soft ink tend to smear. You can put a finger print imprint there also. Just yeah.
A finger, like
Yeah, thumb.
You could use a thumbprint.
Thumbprints. Yeah. Yeah. Thumbprints like that. It's just like. It's a brand new ink we just did, but that's be careful if you. Yeah, you have to kind of experiment a little bit because the fresh ink tends to do that. Another lesson, huh? So let me stop recording first. Okay, I'll see your work if we have time. Okay, it's time is up. So we'll see you next week.